In the shadowy corridors of a New York courthouse, where whispers can shatter empires, a 9-year-old girl named Lily Harper clutches a hidden device that holds the power to unravel lies. Once a voice of unyielding curiosity, Lily now sits silent, her words stolen by a traumatic shock after eavesdropping on a treacherous conversation that threatens her adoptive father, tech visionary Ethan Reynolds. Accused of stealing a revolutionary AI called Aegis, Ethan fights for his legacy amid forged evidence and betrayals from old allies. But Lily's sharp eyes see what others miss. Secrets buried in code and shadows. What if silence becomes the loudest weapon? Dive deeper into this tale of tech, truth, and triumph. If you're tuning in from your cozy corner right now, smash that subscribe button, share where you're listening from, and stick around. Lily's quiet revolution is just beginning, and the twists will leave you breathless until the end. The dim glow of fluorescent lights flickered like distant stars in the labyrinthine corridors of the New York Civil Courthouse, a place where justice was supposed to shine bright, but often hid in the shadows of whispered deals and hidden agendas. It was late afternoon, the kind of hour when clerks shuffled papers and lawyers plotted their next moves, oblivious to the small figure lurking in the alcove. Lily Harper, a 9-year-old girl with eyes as sharp as a hawk's and a mind that captured every detail like a high-definition camera, crouched behind a potted plant, her small fingers dancing across the screen of her battered smartphone. She wasn't playing games or scrolling through videos. No, Lily was hacking, a simple trick she'd picked up from her late biological father, a man whose legacy lived on in the gadgets he left behind and the lessons etched into her soul. Her heart pounded in her chest, a rhythmic drumbeat echoing the urgency of her mission. It had started innocently enough that morning, a routine visit to the courthouse with her adoptive father, Ethan Reynolds, the 29-year-old tech whiz kid whose innovative AI platform, Aegis, was now the center of a brutal legal storm. Ethan was being sued for intellectual property theft, accused of stealing the core ideas for Aegis, a revolutionary system designed to protect personal data from hackers and corporations alike, from his old college buddy, Jordan Blake. But Lily, with her photographic memory and uncanny ability to spot patterns where adults saw only chaos, had sensed something off from the start. The way the lawyers glanced at each other, the subtle nods in the gallery, it all screamed conspiracy. Now here she was, exploiting a vulnerability in the courthouse's outdated security cameras. Her father's old code snippets, stored in her phone's notes app, made it child's play. With a few taps, the feed from camera 7 popped up on her screen, a grainy but clear view of the east hallway, where two men huddled in hushed conversation. One was Victor Hargrove, the silver-haired lawyer in his 50s, his tailored suit screaming old money and older secrets. Hargrove had once been a trusted advisor to Ethan's late father, back when the Reynolds family empire was just budding. Now he represented Jordan Blake, the plaintiff, a lanky man with nervous eyes and a fidgety demeanor that belied his tech-savvy background. Lily zoomed in, her breath catching as their words filtered through the audio feed she'd patched in. Hargrove's voice was low, gravelly, like sandpaper on wood. "The forged documents have to match perfectly, Jordan. No loose ends. Once Reynolds is buried under this lawsuit, we flip Aegis to that foreign conglomerate for $500 million. Easy money. Your cut will set you up for life." Jordan shifted uneasily, glancing over his shoulder. "But what if someone finds out? Ethan was my friend once. This feels wrong." Hargrove's laugh was a sharp bark, devoid of humor. "Friends? In this game, it's eat or be eaten. Aegis was my idea originally, a prototype I sketched years ago for old man Reynolds. Ethan just polished it up and slapped his name on it. We're taking back what's ours. Now, get those emails ready for tomorrow's session." Lily's fingers tightened around her phone, her knuckles whitening. The words hit her like a tidal wave, crashing against the fragile walls of her composure. Aegis, her father's pride, the thing Ethan had poured his soul into, wasn't just at stake. It was being auctioned off like a stolen painting. But worse, Hargrove's face on the screen dredged up memories she'd buried deep. Her biological father, Robert Harper, had been a brilliant engineer, working quietly in the shadows of big tech firms. He died too young, ravaged by illness, but not before whispering warnings about men like Hargrove, men who twisted innovation into weapons of greed. "Watch for the snakes, Lily," he'd said in his final days, his voice weak but urgent. "They hide in plain sight." The image blurred as tears welled in her eyes, but she blinked them away, forcing herself to focus. This wasn't just about Ethan. It felt personal, like a thread connecting her past losses to this present nightmare. She saved the footage to her cloud drive, her mind already racing to analyze it with the mini AI device tucked in her pocket. A palm-sized gadget her father had built, capable of dissecting voices for lies and patterns. Suddenly, her phone vibrated violently, shattering the silence. An unknown number flashed on the screen. She hesitated, then answered, pressing it to her ear. A voice emerged. Familiar, impossibly so. It was her father's voice, replicated with chilling accuracy. "Don't interfere, Lily. If you do, you'll lose everything, just like I did." The world tilted, her throat constricted, a vice of panic squeezing tight. It couldn't be real. Her father was gone. But the timbre, the slight rasp from his illness, it was perfect. A deepfake, AI manipulation. The shock hit her like lightning, frying her nerves. She tried to scream, to call out for help, but no sound came. Her voice was gone, stolen by the terror surging through her veins. She dropped the phone, gasping silently as the call ended with a click. Minutes blurred into a haze. Lily stumbled out of the alcove, her legs wobbly, the courthouse spinning around her. Voices echoed from the main hall, lawyers arguing, judges banging gavels, but they sounded distant, muffled. She needed Ethan. He was waiting in the lobby, his tall frame pacing back and forth. Worry etched on his handsome face. When he saw her, pale and trembling, he rushed over, kneeling to her level. "Lily, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." She opened her mouth, desperate to explain. The conversation, the call, the betrayal, but nothing emerged. Not a whisper. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she fumbled for her phone, opening the drawing app. With shaky fingers, she sketched quickly. Hargrove as a coiled serpent, fangs bared, wrapped around the Aegis logo, a shield cracked in bleeding code. Ethan's eyes widened as he studied the drawing. This is about the case? Hargrove? Lily, talk to me. What did you see?" She shook her head, frustration boiling inside her. The words were there, trapped in her mind, but her voice refused to obey. Instead, she pointed to the sketch, then mimed listening, ears cupped, eyes wide. Ethan nodded slowly, his protective instincts kicking in. "Okay, kiddo, we'll figure this out at home. Come on." As he guided her out into the bustling New York streets, the sun dipping low and casting long shadows, Lily clutched her mini AI recorder tighter. It was more than a gadget now. It was her lifeline, her silent ally. The device hummed faintly in her pocket, already processing the audio from the call, its algorithms whirring to detect the forgery. But deep down, Lily knew this was just the beginning. The shadows she'd glimpsed through the screen were real, and they were closing in. What secrets would her silence unearth? And at what cost? The morning sun pierced through the curtains of their modest Manhattan apartment like accusatory fingers, casting long shadows that mirrored the unease gnawing at Lily Harper's insides. She had barely slept, her mind a whirlwind of replayed footage and that haunting deepfake call echoing in her ears. The loss of her voice felt like a cruel gag, turning her once vocal curiosity into a prison of silence. Beside her on the breakfast table lay the mini AI recorder, its sleek black surface humming faintly as it continued to process the audio from the previous day. Ethan Reynolds, her adoptive father, moved about the kitchen with forced normalcy, flipping pancakes while stealing glances at her. His eyes, usually bright with innovative spark, were clouded with worry. "Lily, you don't have to come today," he said softly, sliding a plate toward her. "The first hearing will be brutal. Stay home, rest. We'll get you to a specialist for whatever this is." She shook her head firmly, her dark curls bouncing. Grabbing her phone, she opened the drawing app and sketched a quick courthouse outline, adding a determined stick figure of herself in the audience seats. Ethan sighed, running a hand through his tousled hair. All right, stubborn as ever, just like your dad, both of them. He meant it kindly, bridging the memory of her biological father with his own role now. But the words stung, reminding her of the voids in her life. Last night, after they'd returned home, Ethan had tried to decipher her frantic drawings, piecing together the Serpent Hargrove and the Aegis Shield. If this is about Victor, he's been like family. But if you're onto something, we'll handle it together. The drive to the courthouse was tense, the city's honking traffic a cacophony that amplified Lily's internal silence. She clutched the AI device in her pocket, its subtle vibrations reassuring her. It had already flagged the deepfake call as 95% synthetic, matching vocal patterns to Hargrove's public speeches. But proof, that was still a puzzle missing pieces. The courtroom buzzed with anticipation as they entered, the polished wood and stern benches evoking a theater of high-stakes drama. Ethan took his seat at the defendant's table, his lawyer, a young, earnest woman named Clara, whispering strategies. Across the aisle, Jordan Blake sat rigidly, avoiding Ethan's gaze, while Victor Hargrove commanded the plaintiff's side like a general on the battlefield. His silver hair gleamed under the lights, his smile a veneer of confidence that Lily's sharp eyes pierced through. She slipped into the back row of the gallery, her small frame blending into the shadows, and activated the recorder discreetly. The device whirred to life, its AI algorithms ready to dissect every word for inconsistencies. The judge, a no-nonsense woman in her 60s with wire-rimmed glasses, banged the gavel. Court is in session. Case Reynolds vs. Blake. Intellectual property theft regarding the Aegis AI platform. Plaintiff, proceed. Hargrove rose smoothly, buttoning his jacket with theatrical flair. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the court, this is a tale of betrayal in the heart of innovation. My client, Jordan Blake, co-developed the foundational concepts of Aegis during his college years with the defendant, Ethan Reynolds. But Reynolds, in a brazen act of theft, patented it solely under his name, reaping millions while Blake was left in the dust. He clicked a remote, projecting slides of emails, allegedly from Ethan, discussing borrowed ideas and code snippets that matched Aegis's core. The room murmured and Lily's fingers flew across her phone, noting the timestamps. They were too perfect, too aligned. The recorder's interface on her hidden earbud whispered, vocal stress detected, 70% likelihood of deception in Hargrove's tone. Ethan leaned forward, his face a mask of controlled fury, as Clara objected. These documents are circumstantial at best, Your Honor. No direct proof of theft. But Hargrove countered with flair, pacing like a predator. Circumstantial? These emails trace back to Reynolds' servers. Aegis isn't just software. It's a shield against data breaches, worth hundreds of millions. Blake deserves his share. Jordan nodded weakly, his eyes darting to the floor. Lily zoomed in mentally, her photographic memory capturing the sweat bead on his brow, the way his fingers twisted a pen. Something was off. He looked coerced, not triumphant. As the session dragged on, Hargrove piled on more evidence. Chat logs, witness statements from former colleagues who claimed Ethan had bragged about improving Blake's work. The judge nodded thoughtfully, and the gallery shifted in favor of the plaintiff. Lily's frustration built like a storm cloud. She wanted to shout to expose the forgery she glimpsed yesterday, but her throat remained locked. Instead, she spoke through her app, sketching a new image. Hargrove's face morphed with digital glitches, symbolizing the deepfake. She generated a QR code linking to the saved footage snippet and texted it to Ethan during a recess. He checked his phone discreetly, his eyes widening. Lily, this is huge, but we need more. Stay safe. Don't dig alone. In the break room, he pulled her aside, his voice low. Remember that prototype of Aegis at home? I can teach you a simple code to interface with it. Use it to talk if words fail. Like this. He demonstrated on his laptop, a basic script that turned voice inputs into text outputs. But Lily adapted it mentally for her drawings, scanning sketches to query the AI for patterns. Back in session, the tide turned further against Ethan. Hargrove's closing for the day. Reynolds built an empire on stolen dreams. Justice demands restitution. The judge adjourned, advantage to Blake. Lily's heart sank as they exited, the courtroom lights dimming like fading hope. That night, alone in her room, Lily synced the recorder to Aegis's prototype. The screen lit up, and suddenly a synthesized voice emerged. Her father's, pulled from old recordings. Analyzing, Hargrove's words show inconsistencies. Pursue the snake, Lily. It was a dream come to life, or perhaps a nightmare. The voice stirred memories of bedtime stories about ethical tech, warnings against greed. Tears welled as she sketched more. Follow Hargrove tonight. Ethan peeked in, seeing her determination. Whatever this is, we'll face it. But promise me, no risks alone. Lily nodded, but her mind was set. The vow of silence wasn't weakness. It was her armor, sharpening her senses for the battles ahead. As sleep finally claimed her, dreams wove in. Her father's face on a digital screen, urging, "The truth is in the code. Find it." Tomorrow's shadows waited, deeper and more tangled. The first light of dawn crept through Lily's window like a hesitant thief, illuminating the sketches scattered across her desk. Twisted serpents, cracked shields, and now a new one. Hargrove's silhouette against a web of digital threads, pulling strings like a malevolent puppeteer. Sleep had been fitful, haunted by her father's synthesized voice from the Aegis prototype, urging her onward. The truth is in the code, it had echoed in her dreams, blending with memories of his real whispers during late-night coding sessions before illness claimed him. Lily sat up, her throat still a silent cage, but her resolve hardened like steel. She couldn't shout the truth, but she could chase it. Ethan had warned her against risks, but the pull was too strong. Tonight, she would follow Hargrove, no matter the danger. By mid-morning, the courthouse loomed again, its marble facade a facade of impartiality masking the brewing storm inside. The subsequent hearings unfolded like a tightening noose around Ethan's neck. Hargrove dominated the proceedings, his voice booming with feigned righteousness as he unveiled more evidence. Encrypted data logs purportedly showing Ethan accessing Jordan's private servers, code snippets lifted verbatim from Blake's early prototypes. "Your Honor," Hargrove intoned, gesturing to the projected screens. "These traces are irrefutable. Aegis isn't innovation. It's plagiarism wrapped in a shiny algorithm." Lily, nestled in her gallery perch, felt her pulse quicken. The mini AI recorder in her pocket vibrated softly, its analysis feeding into her earbud. Code patterns, anomalous. 80% matched to Hargrove's known style from public patents. Her eyes narrowed. The snippets weren't just forged. They were clumsily so, laced with Hargrove's signature flourishes, like a thief leaving fingerprints. Clara, Ethan's lawyer, fired back objections, but the judge's furrowed brow suggested the tide was turning. Jordan Blake fidgeted more than ever, his gaze flicking toward Hargrove with a mix of fear and regret, avoiding Ethan's pleading looks across the aisle. During a brief recess, Lily's fingers flew over her phone, compiling notes. She sketched the data logs as fractured mirrors, reflecting Hargrove's face instead of Ethan's. The courtroom reconvened, and Hargrove pressed his advantage, calling a witness, a former intern who stammered through testimony about overhearing Ethan boast of borrowing ideas. The recorder flagged it. Witness heart rate elevated, lie probability 65%. Lily's frustration mounted. She yearned to expose it all, but silence bound her. Ethan caught her eye from the table, his expression a silent plea. "Stay strong." As the day dragged into evening, the hearings adjourned with Hargrove smirking victoriously. "Tomorrow, we'll seal this," he murmured to Jordan in the hallway, loud enough for Lily's recorder to catch. Ethan gathered his things wearily, pulling Lily into a hug outside. "Rough day, kiddo. Let's grab ice cream. Forget this for a bit." But she shook her head, pointing to her sketch of Hargrove's web. Ethan's face darkened. "You're sure about following him? It's dangerous." She nodded fiercely, miming stealth. He relented with a sigh. "Fine, but text me every step. And take the Aegis app. I've coded a panic button." Twilight draped the city in purple hues as Lily tailed Hargrove from a safe distance, her small size an advantage in the bustling streets. He hailed a cab to a dimly lit cafe in Midtown, settling at a corner table with his phone. Lily slipped into a booth across the way, hidden by a menu, and activated the recorder's directional mic. Hargrove's voice crackled through. The conglomerate in Shanghai is ready to wire the first payment. Once Reynolds crumbles, Aegis is ours. Blake's cut? Make sure he stays quiet. He's getting cold feet. The words ignited a spark in Lily's memory, pulling her deeper into the past. Her biological father had worked on early AI projects with Ethan's dad, and Hargrove had been there, pitching a prototype for a data shield that could monetize privacy. But Robert Harper had warned against it. Victor's version spies more than it protects. Hargrove had been the original architect, his ideas twisted by greed, only for Ethan's father to refine it ethically. When Hargrove was ousted for shady dealings, he'd vowed revenge. Now it clicked. This lawsuit wasn't just theft, it was reclamation. Hargrove wanted his child back, to sell to the highest bidder. Emboldened, Lily decided to test the waters. Using Aegis's encryption, she sent an anonymous email to Jordan from a burner account. I know the docs are fake. Hargrove's pulling strings. Meet truth or sink with him. She attached a blurred snippet of the cafe audio. Minutes ticked by as Hargrove finished his call and left. Lily's phone buzzed. A reply from Jordan. Who is this? Not everything's as it seems. He's got leverage on me, but if you have proof, maybe I can help. Her heart soared, a crack in the armor, but triumph was short-lived. As she headed home, her phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Curious little mouse. Dig deeper and Aegis will bury you, like it did your father. The words chilled her to the bone, the threat laced with knowledge only Hargrove could have. She traced it via the AI device. Origin masked, but pinging near his office. Panic surged, but so did defiance. Ethan was waiting at home, pacing. What happened? She showed him the texts, the email, her sketches. His face paled. This is bigger than I thought. Hargrove. He was there when my dad died. If he's behind this, Lily interrupted with a fierce shake of her head, drawing a new plan. A building outline, herself sneaking in. Ethan's eyes widened. His office. No, Lily. Too risky. But she pointed to the web sketch, underlining the threads leading there. The truth hid in his lair. As night deepened, dreams returned. Her father's voice, clearer now. Break the web, Lily. It's time. She knew what she had to do. Lurk in the shadows. Strike where he least expected. The deception was unraveling, thread by fragile thread. The city's nocturnal hum enveloped Lily like a cloak as she slipped out the fire escape of their apartment. Her heart a frantic drumbeat syncing with the distant sirens of New York. The dream's echo, break the web, Lily, it's time, propelled her forward, her father's voice a ghostly compass in the night. Ethan had fallen asleep on the couch, exhausted from the day's courtroom battering, but she'd left a note sketched on her phone. Back soon, following the snake. Risky, yes, but silence had taught her patience. Now it demanded action. The mini AI recorder nestled in her pocket, its faint glow a reassuring ally, while her phone's Aegis app pulsed with the panic button Ethan had coded, a digital lifeline. The streets blurred into a maze of neon and shadows as Lily navigated to Hargrove's law firm, a sleek glass tower in the financial district that loomed like a monolith of deceit. She'd memorized the layout from online blueprints during recess, her photographic memory turning blueprints into a mental map. Scaling the low fence to the service entrance felt like a scene from one of her adventure books, exhilarating and terrifying. Her small frame squeezed through a ventilation grate, the metallic clang echoing softly as she dropped into the dimly lit basement. Dust tickled her nose, but she stifled a sneeze, crawling through the ducts like a shadow mouse, her breaths shallow and controlled. Emerging in the hallway near Hargrove's corner office, the building was eerily quiet, save for the hum of servers in the walls. The door was locked, but Lily's father had taught her tricks. A makeshift pick from a hairpin and wire clicked into place with trembling fingers. The lock yielded, and she slipped inside. The room bathed in the blue glow of a sleeping computer screen. Hargrove's desk was a fortress of files and gadgets, but her eyes zeroed in on the laptop, his digital vault. Kneeling under the desk for cover, she powered it on, the boot screen demanding a password. Her mind raced. From courtroom observations, Hargrove's ego was his weakness. She typed Aegis Reborn, a hunch from his overheard boasts, and it worked. Files flooded the screen, encrypted folders labeled Blake Case, Foreign Contacts, and ominously, Harper Legacy. Her breath hitched at the last one. Clicking it open, she initiated a decrypt with the AI recorder plugged in as a drive, its algorithms cracking the code in seconds. What unfolded was a digital nightmare. Emails to a Shanghai conglomerate detailing Aegis's sale. Prototype secured post-lawsuit. Ethical overrides removed for full monetization. But deeper in a subfolder marked voice mods lay the twist that shattered her. Audio files of deepfakes, including one scripted as her father's voice. Don't interfere, Lily. The metadata traced it to Hargrove's software, timed right after her courthouse eavesdrop. He'd used AI to mimic her dad, weaponizing grief to silence her. Tears blurred her vision, but rage steadied her hand. This wasn't random, it was targeted terror. Scrolling further, the files unveiled shadows from the past. Hargrove had hacked her father's old work servers years ago, stealing early Aegis prototypes and framing Robert Harper for data leaks that led to his firing, and indirectly the stress that hastened his illness. Harper knew too much, one memo read. Neutralized via misinformation. Reynolds Sr. next. It connected everything. Hargrove wasn't just suing Ethan, he was avenging his ousting from the original project, twisting his creation for profit. Aegis, born from Hargrove's greedy blueprint, had been redeemed by Ethan's father into something noble. Now Hargrove clawed it back. Lily copied the files to her cloud, her fingers flying, but a creak in the hallway froze her. Footsteps, heavy, deliberate, approached. Hargrove? At this hour? Panic surged as the door handle turned. She ducked deeper under the desk, activating the recorder's mic. The door swung open and Hargrove entered, phone to his ear, his voice a venomous whisper. Blake, if that kid Harper's sniffing around, handle it. She's like her father, too nosy. Use the leverage. Threaten the adoption papers if needed. Aegis will be ours by week's end. Jordan's voice crackled back, hesitant. Victor, this is getting out of hand. The girl's just a kid. Hargrove snarled, pacing. Kids grow into problems. Like Robert Harper did, I hacked his life apart. I'll do the same to hers. Now prep those final forgeries. He hung up, muttering curses as he approached the desk. Lily's heart hammered, her breath held in a vice. He sat down, his shoes inches from her face, typing furiously. The recorder captured every keystroke, every breath. Minutes stretched into eternity. Sweat beaded on her forehead. Finally he stood, grabbed a file and left, the door clicking shut. Lily exhaled shakily, emerging on wobbly legs. She unplugged the device, its analysis already buzzing. Threat confirmed. Voice match. Hargrove 99%. Escaping the way she came, the cool night air slapped her face like a wake-up call. She texted Ethan, safe, found proof, home now. Bursting through their door, she found him awake, frantic. Lily, what the? She thrust the phone at him, playing the copied files and recording. His face drained of color as he scrolled. He deep-faked your dad? And hacked mine? This is war. Lily sketched furiously, Hargrove as the web sender, threads snapping. Ethan pulled her into a hug. You're brave, kiddo, but no more solo missions. We'll use this tomorrow. Exhaustion claimed her as she collapsed into bed, but dreams wove in again, her father's face on the Aegis screen, clearer, prouder. You're close to the truth now, Lily. One more step. She stirred, knowing the confrontation loomed. Hargrove's shadows were exposed, but he was a cornered beast, dangerous, ready to strike back. The first rays of dawn filtered through the apartment's blinds like tentative spies, illuminating Lily's makeshift command center on her bedroom floor. Scattered sketches, glowing screens, and the mini AI recorder pulsing with data from the night's heist. Exhaustion clawed at her eyes, but sleep was a luxury she couldn't afford, not with Hargrove's shadows encroaching. The dream of her father's voice had faded into resolve, a spectral push toward the precipice. She'd barely rested since escaping his office, her mind a ceaseless engine dissecting the stolen files. Ethan had insisted on staying up with her, brewing coffee and pacing, his face etched with paternal fury. "This ends now," he'd muttered as they pored over the evidence. "We'll take it to Clara first thing. Expose him in court." Lily nodded, her fingers dancing over the keyboard as the AI device crunched through the encrypted trove. Audio logs bloomed on the screen. Hargrove's deepfakes, including the one mimicking her father, scripted with chilling precision. "Voice synthesis confirmed," the device intoned in its neutral tone. "Source: Hargrove's proprietary software. Lie detection, 92% on all lawsuit claims." Deeper dives revealed memos outlining the forgery pipeline. Emails to forgers, wire transfers to the Shanghai conglomerate, and a damning timeline linking Hargrove's ousting from the original Aegis project to his vendetta. He'd twisted his prototype into a tool for espionage, only to be sidelined by Ethan's father for ethical reasons. Now revenge fueled the lawsuit, with Jordan as the reluctant pawn. As the clock ticked toward morning hearings, Lily compiled it all into a digital dossier, her silent notes evolving into a web of irrefutable connections. Sketches annotated the files. Hargrove's face splintered into code fragments, threads leading to Blake and beyond. But a new alert flashed. Hargrove's system had detected the breach. "Intrusion logged," the AI whispered. "Countermeasures initiated." Ethan's phone buzzed simultaneously. A virus alert from the Aegis prototype at home. "He's hacking back," Ethan exclaimed, diving into his laptop to quarantine it. Lily's heart raced. This was war in the digital trenches. The courthouse awaited like a coliseum, its halls thrumming with the day's battles. Lily slipped into her spot, the weight of the evidence burning in her backpack. Hargrove entered with his usual swagger, but his eyes scanned the room sharper than before, lingering on Ethan with predatory gleam. The session ignited. More forged logs presented. Clara's objections drowned in Hargrove's eloquence. "Reynolds' greed knows no bounds," he boomed. But Lily's recorder flagged spikes in his vocal stress. Lies stacking like unstable cards. Recess brought the storm. As Lily wandered the hallway for air, a firm hand gripped her shoulder. She spun to face Hargrove, his face a mask of feigned concern twisted into menace. "Curious little girl, aren't you? Sneaking where you don't belong." His voice was silk over steel, low enough to evade casual ears but captured by her hidden mic. Lily's throat tightened. Silence her shield, but fear flickered in her eyes. He leaned in, breath hot. "I know about your midnight visit. Smart, using vents like a rat. But dig deeper, and Aegis will crush you, like it did your meddlesome father." He poked the bear. "Now you're next." The words landed like blows, confirming her worst fears. She backed away, but Hargrove pressed. "Tell Reynolds to settle, or I'll expose every skeleton, his, yours, even that flimsy adoption." Lily's hand trembled toward her panic button, but defiance surged. She pulled out her phone, flashing a sketch, his web crumbling, a mouse gnawing the threads. His laugh was cold. "Drawings? Child's play. But games end badly." He turned, vanishing into the crowd, leaving her shaken. Back home during lunch break, Ethan had pulled her out for safety. The virus struck full force. Aegis's prototype glitched on Ethan's screen, files corrupting like digital rot. "He's erasing evidence remotely," Ethan cursed, fingers flying to contain it. Lily, drawing on lessons from her father and Ethan's quick tutorials, plugged in her AI device. "Hack reverse," she typed into the interface, initiating a counterscript. Code scrolled. Firewalls breached, virus traced to Hargrove's IP. With a triumphant beep, Aegis rebounded, quarantining the malware and mirroring Hargrove's own files back. More proof of his tampering. Adrenaline pumping, Lily checked her anonymous email. A message from Jordan. "Meet at the park bench, Courthouse Square, 2 p.m. I can't do this anymore." She showed Ethan, who nodded grimly. "Go, but I'm nearby." The meeting was tense. Jordan hunched on the bench, glancing nervously. "You're the kid from the emails? How'd you know?" Lily sketched quickly. The cafe audio, his coerced nods in court. He sighed, defeated. "Hargrove has dirt on me. Old debts, faked loans. But this, selling Aegis to spies, it's treasonous. Here's a drive. Real chats proving I shared ideas willingly with Ethan. No theft. Lily pocketed it, miming thanks, her eyes conveying trust. Jordan's face softened. You're brave, kid. End this. For all of us. As she rejoined Ethan, the pieces aligned. Evidence stacked, allies emerging. But Hargrove's threat lingered like poison. Tomorrow's declaration day loomed, the climax where silence would shatter. That night, Lily pored over the new drive, her notes a symphony of revelation. Dreams returned, her father's voice affirming, "One more push, Lily. The confrontation is won." She awoke ready, the storm brewing. Hargrove was exposed, but the final strike awaited in the arena of justice. The morning of the final hearing dawned with a deceptive calm, the New York skyline shrouded in a veil of mist that mirrored the fog of uncertainty clouding Lily's mind. She had spent the night in a frenzy of silent preparation, her room a fortress of glowing screens and frantic sketches, the mini AI recorder her unwavering sentinel. The drive from Jordan, raw chats proving collaborative creation, not theft, had sealed the dossier, a digital arsenal ready to dismantle Hargrove's empire of lies. Ethan's words from the previous evening echoed, "Tomorrow we strike back, no more shadows." Lily had nodded, her fingers clutching the device like a talisman, its stored voice of her father, a quiet promise. One more push. As they entered the courthouse, the air hummed with finality, the halls packed with spectators drawn to the spectacle of a tech titan's fall. Ethan walked tall beside her, his hand on her shoulder a steady anchor, while Clara, their lawyer, clutched the compiled evidence like a holy grail. Lily took her seat in the gallery, heart pounding, the weight of silence heavier than ever. Hargrove arrived last, his stride confident, eyes gleaming with predatory assurance. He shot a glance her way, a subtle warning, laced with the menace of their hallway confrontation. Jordan Blake trailed him, pale and withdrawn, his remorse etched in every line of his face. The judge called order, her gavel a thunderclap. Final arguments. Plaintiff, proceed. Hargrove rose like a phoenix, his voice resonant and unyielding. Your Honor, the evidence is overwhelming. Ethan Reynolds stole Aegis from its true innovator, Jordan Blake, building a fortune on betrayal. These logs, emails, and testimonies paint a clear picture. Greed over genius. We demand full restitution and control of the platform. He gestured to the screens, forged data scrolling like a damning scroll. The room leaned in, murmurs rippling. Victory seemed his. Clara countered fiercely. These are fabrications, Your Honor. We have new evidence that will shatter this illusion. But the judge's expression remained skeptical. Present it swiftly, counsel. Tension coiled in Lily's chest like a spring. As Hargrove smirked, wrapping his rebuttal, she couldn't wait. Standing on shaky legs, she moved toward Ethan's table, the courtroom's eyes turning in confusion. Whispers erupted. What's the child doing? Lily thrust the AI device into Ethan's hand, her sketchbook open to a final drawing, a serpent impaled by a shield of code. Ethan understood instantly. Your Honor, permission to introduce irrefutable proof from a unique source. The judge hesitated, then nodded. Proceed, but make it relevant. Ethan plugged the device into the courtroom's projector, its interface blooming on the screen. Lily typed a command, reveal all. The AI activated, and a voice filled the room, her father's, warm and resolute, pulled from archived recordings and synthesized for clarity. This is the truth. Victor Hargrove orchestrated the forgeries. He is the original creator of Aegis's prototype, but he intended it for exploitation. Emails confirm sales to foreign entities. Voice analysis, 99% deception in all plaintiff claims. Gasps echoed as files unfurled. The deepfakes, hacked memos, the Shanghai deals. Hargrove's face drained of color, his composure cracking. This is absurd, fabricated nonsense from a gadget. But the AI pressed on, its algorithms dissecting. Lie detected in real time. Forged logs match Hargrove's code signature. Then the twist ignited. Aegis's prototype, remotely linked, executed Lily's counter-hack script from the night before. The screen glitched, then stabilized, pulling live data from Hargrove's servers, unencrypted emails to the conglomerate, blueprints altered for spying, and a confession audio. Reynolds will fall, and Aegis returns to me. The courtroom erupted. Hargrove lunged toward the projector, shouting, "Shut it down! This is a breach." But bailiffs restrained him. Jordan stood, voice trembling. "It's true, Your Honor. I was coerced. The drive I provided. It proves collaboration, not theft." The judge banged her gavel repeatedly. "Order! This changes everything. The case is dismissed. Charges of fraud and conspiracy to be filed against Mr. Hargrove and any accomplices." Hargrove snarled, twisting in the guard's grip. "You little brat! You'll regret this!" Jordan hung his head, relieved yet ashamed, as temporary cuffs clicked on. Chaos swirled, but for Lily, time slowed. Ethan rushed to her, pulling her into an embrace amid the frenzy. "You did it, Lily! You're the bravest person I know." Tears streamed down her face, the weight of silence fracturing under the flood of emotion. Her throat burned, words bubbling up like a dam breaking. She opened her mouth, and for the first time in days, sound emerged. A whisper, soft but unbreakable. "Kong Nghe. Jan Quech Jai Gyong Kon." It was Vietnamese at first, a slip from her inner turmoil, but then clearer in English. Technology amplified my voice. The courtroom hushed around them, Ethan's eyes widening in joy. "Lily, you spoke." She nodded, voice gaining strength. "We won, Dad. For everyone he hurt." The judge, overhearing, smiled faintly. "Young lady, your silence just roared." As Hargrove and Jordan were led away, Hargrove raging, Jordan compliant, the victory tasted bittersweet. Lily clutched the device, her father's voice now a memory of triumph. But the day wasn't over. Repercussions awaited, and her reclaimed words promised more battles. The reckoning had come, and with it, her voice reborn. The echoes of the gavel's final strike lingered in the courthouse like the fading notes of a symphony, marking not just the end of a trial, but the dawn of redemption. Chaos had given way to a stunned hush as Hargrove was hauled away in cuffs, his once imposing figure reduced to a snarling shadow, while Jordan Blake slumped in his seat, the weight of his coerced role lifting like a storm cloud parting. Lily Harper stood amid the whirlwind, her small hand clasped in Ethan's, her reclaimed voice a fragile flame flickering back to life. "We did it," she whispered again, the words tasting like victory, sweet, hard-won, and laced with the salt of tears. The judge's declaration rang in her ears. Case dismissed, fraud exposed, justice served. But for Lily, this was more than acquittal. It was the shattering of chains that had bound her family, her past, and her silence. As the crowd dispersed, reporters scrambling for quotes, spectators buzzing with awe, Ethan knelt before her, his eyes shining with paternal pride. "Lily, you turned the tide. Aegis is safe, and so are we." She nodded, her voice steadier now. "But what about him? Hargrove. He hurt so many." The courtroom victory had peeled back layers of deceit, revealing not just the lawsuit's fraud, but Hargrove's long trail of manipulations, the hacked legacies, the deepfake terrors, the vendetta born from his ousted role in Aegis's birth. Ethan paused, glancing at the doors where Hargrove had vanished. "Prison might feel right, but what do you think?" In the quiet conference room afterward, with Clara poring over the fallout paperwork, Lily found her words flowing like a river unleashed. "Make him apologize publicly and fund a program, AI education for kids who can't afford it. Teach them to code, to spot lies like we did. No more shadows for people like him to hide in." Her suggestion hung in the air, a bridge between vengeance and healing. Ethan smiled, touched by her wisdom beyond years. "Forgiveness with purpose. You're right. My dad would have wanted that. Hargrove stole from him too, but holding grudges only poisons the future." The negotiations unfolded swiftly in the days that followed. The evidence from Lily's device and Jordan's drive an unbreakable hammer. Hargrove, cornered in interrogation rooms, cracked under the weight, his empire crumbling as federal agents raided his offices, uncovering ties to foreign data brokers. Jordan, granted leniency for his cooperation, withdrew entirely, his remorse spilling in a tearful confession to Ethan. I was weak, but that kid, she showed me strength. He vanished into obscurity, a reformed pawn seeking atonement. For Lily, the true miracle bloomed in the quiet moments at home. Her voice returned fully, not in a rush, but through deliberate communion with Aegis. Ethan had upgraded the prototype, integrating her father's archive recordings into a therapeutic interface. Talk to it, he encouraged one evening, the screen glowing warmly. Lily hesitated, then spoke. Dad, why did you build this? The AI responded in his voice, drawing from old logs. To protect the vulnerable, Lily, like you protected us. Tears flowed as she conversed, unraveling the knots of trauma, the deepfake sting, the silence's isolation. Each word rebuilt her, turning grief into gratitude. Technology didn't steal my voice, she realized aloud. It gave it back. Weeks blurred into a tapestry of renewal. Ethan, acquitted and vindicated, poured resources into revitalizing Aegis as an open-source tool for ethical data defense, its value soaring as investors flocked to the unbreakable shield. He enrolled Lily in a pioneering class, legal debate and AI programming for young minds, where pint-sized prodigies learned to wield code like swords and arguments like shields. On her first day, she stood before the group, voice clear and confident. I was silent once, but tech amplified me. Let me show you how to fight injustice with ones and zeros. Lily didn't stop there. She volunteered at community centers, teaching underprivileged kids to build simple AI detectors, apps that flag deepfakes or trace digital footprints. See this? She'd say, demonstrating her mini recorder. It's not magic, it's math, and it can uncover truths adults miss. One boy, eyes wide, asked, like superheroes? She grinned. Exactly. Silent ones are the strongest. Word spread. Soon her sessions drew crowds, inspiring a ripple of young innovators. Ethan watched with pride, often joining to share Aegis demos. You're building the future, he'd tell her, echoing her father's legacy. Jordan's quiet redemption came in a letter. Donations to the fund, anonymous but heartfelt. Even Hargrove, facing reduced charges in a plea deal, complied. His public apology streamed live, a humbled man admitting, I twisted innovation for gain. Now I'll fund it for good. The AI education quads he bankrolled bore Lily's touch. Scholarships named after Robert Harper, turning pain into progress. As summer waned, the Reynolds Harper family gathered on their rooftop, the city lights twinkling like stars in code. Ethan raised a toast, to truth, tech, and the bravest girl I know. Lily, gazing at the horizon, felt whole, her voice a bridge between past shadows and bright tomorrows. Truth doesn't need a loud voice, she said softly, just the right technology to amplify it. They laughed, dreamed of new adventures, the web of deception fully unraveled. In that moment, Lily wasn't just a survivor, she was a beacon, her story a testament to silent courage and the power of light over darkness. As Lily's story fades into the glow of a hopeful future, we invite you to share your thoughts. What did her silent courage and tech-fueled triumph spark in you? Drop your reflections in the comments, tell us where you're listening from, and let's keep the conversation alive. Thank you for joining us on this thrilling journey of truth and resilience. Subscribe for more tales that inspire, and we'll meet again soon in the next chapter of Justice and Heart. Until then, keep chasing the truth, no matter how small your voice feels.